individual liberties for one another. How many of you believe in gun control? Gun control. How many of you oppose gay marriage? How many of you could explain to me how gay marriage threatens heterosexual marriage? I just like to understand the physics of it. Not the ideology, the religion, the philosophy. But somebody explain to me how gay marriage encumbers or influences heterosexual marriage. We have people talking about the threat to the American family. And talking about a constitutional amendment to prohibit gay marriage, when the number one cause of gay marriage is economic. 1 in 2 marriages ends in divorce in this country. We are the ones destroying the American family because we are abandoning traditional values and we're abandoning traditional contracts between employer and employee. We are abandoning a work ethic and a discipline in public education. And we are consumed with wedge issues. Ladies and gentlemen, in 2008, we're going to be asked to consider gay marriage as a wedge issue, gun control, abortion, and a host of other nonsensical issues that no president has ever exerted influence over. No president will be called upon to decide the direction of abortion, or the direction of gun control, or the direction of gay marriage. That will be a matter for the people. And fundamentally, there's another element of that states' rights itself, the communities in which we all live. But I happen to be one of those people who supports gay marriage and will fight you tooth and nail if you try to control marriage, because both are assured in our Constitution and our Bill of Rights. It's time to develop some trust in one another, to focus on our commonalities rather than our differences, our similarities, and our shared interests. And let me assure you, ladies and gentlemen, we are facing a host of challenges in this nation that you had better be willing to join hands with one another, and I mean every American in this country, because we are going to be confronted with challenges that are unimaginable over the course of the next decade. As we approach 2050, we're going to be looking at a world of 9.5 billion people instead of a world approaching now 6 billion people. We're going to see an immense competition for scarce natural resources, whether it is some commodity or oil, as India and China and the European Union and some parts of this very hemisphere begin to be significant economic competitors. We are, by the way, as a nation, with just about 5%, just under 5% of the world's population, consuming 2/3 of the world's illegal drugs. We've been fighting a 30-year war on drugs, and we're losing. And why is that? Why is it that our southern and our northern borders and all of our ports are wide open more than 6 years after September 11th? When this president talks about a war on terror, and we are losing American lives in Iraq and Afghanistan, and we are not sharing any sacrifice or any burden as a people, as we put thousands of our young people into harm's way. Why is it that not a single candidate is calling for shared sacrifice and shared burdens when this nation is at war? And why is it that this Congress and this president have the lowest approval ratings in history? Well, that's unfair. President Bush, his approval ratings have not quite dipped as low as President Harry Truman. Ratings actually fell below those of Richard Nixon, who left office in disgrace. But they're very close. But it is amusing, I think, for us all to see President Bush, with his disastrously low approval ratings, digging on Congress and admonishing them. He found the one institution in the country that has a lower approval rating than he does. We're the world's only superpower. We're also the world's largest donor nation. It's time to reconcile reality with the promises of the founders 200 years ago. That means you and I have to become active participants in our participatory democracy. Begin attending those school board meetings, city hall meetings, taking back your neighborhoods. And while it isn't perhaps as exciting as talking about the Sudan and Darfur at the United Nations, the reality is those communities, those neighborhoods, that local government determines more about the quality of the air you breathe and the water you drink and the safety of your children than all of the national politics combined. And when you have taken back those communities, folks, and asserted grassroots political influence, perhaps we can return this country to a national participatory democracy in which you won't be taken for granted or for fools. He's got right there, fools. I think it was underlined. I don't think we can stand any more help with the audio-visual equipment.
What the hell's going on here?
Officer, do you have a gun on you? We'll leave it right there. I want to get your questions and dialogue with you. I do urge you to consider registering as independents, pushing back against these two partisan parties. The reasons, I hope, are self-evident, that we're all in this room rationalists, empiricists, interested in reality and nonpartisan independent reality and improving not only our own lives, but the lives of our children and their children to come. I thank you very much for spending part of the evening, and I look forward to hearing your questions. Thank you very much. Yes, ma'am. Right. Well, in point of oh no, we don't go on. And in the spirit in which you asked the question, let me ask you this: do you know how much George Morehouse, Harvard economics professor, says illegal immigration contributes in depressing wages in this country each year? Do you know that? I beg your pardon?
If you're willing to pay $12 for a pound of potatoes, I think all the immigrants
Do you think so?
Yeah, I think you're going to get all the immigrants away from this country.
Oh, you wouldn't pay them? Oh, I see. So you're not really going to answer my question about George Morehouse at Harvard University this study, which concluded, by the way, that excess immigration, you've been frankly mad silly. The fact of the matter is that illegal immigration, excessive immigration into this country, it's estimated to cost about $200 billion in depressed wages. The fact of the matter is that we are interested in facts of ground. We are empiricists and rationalists. Did you know that my broadcast has pointed out on a number of occasions that if you raise the wages of migrant workers in the produce fields by 45%, what the cost would be to a head of lettuce, do you know what that would be? Man, it would be 10 cents for every American consumer. It would end the exploitation of illegal labor. But this is an inconvenient reality for partisans who have an orthodox view and who are committed to an agenda that is not necessarily conducive to either alignment with reality or with the well-being of the American people and our national interests. So that would be my answer to you. I would also ask you to consider when you talk about these matters that the four industries, because we're told there's so many jobs that Americans want them, correct? And you alluded to the cost of potatoes. The four primary industries that have the highest concentration of illegal aliens as employees are construction, landscaping, hospitality, and leisure restaurants and hotels. Do you know what has happened to wages in each of those industries over the course of the past 5 years, man? They have declined. They have declined because corporate America means for those wages to decline. And the AFL-CIO and other unions are working in complicity with the Open Borders agenda to do precisely that because they want the membership. We're going to talk about reality, and I'm no longer going to put up with the nonsense and no longer listen to race baiting on this issue. Because we're going to talk empirically in this country, and I'm going to insist on the facts in this debate and dialogue.